Hey everybody, this is Heidi speaking, and yeah, Tarot Times with Heidi. And I'm here because we're going to talk about resources. So, like, how can I resource you? I'm just going to turn off Do Not Disturb. How did I forget that? But we're going to talk about your resources. So, what kind of things can Tarot Times with Heidi offer you? So, I mean, obviously, I've made a lot of courses, and I'm here to go over the courses and just tell you what each one is like. And I'm just what I the reason I made all these courses is just that I really value people and I want to support people in their growth as a person, especially through the magical arts and through developing your psychic intuition. So this is everything that I have now, and if I make new courses, I will add an addendum to this, probably. Anyway, these are the courses that I have available. So I always recommend people start with the Baby Witch workshop. So learning how to open and close sacred space, how to work with the moons, moon magic. It's really an introduction to ritual work. And then we have Psychic Baby, which is an intro to psychic giftings, working with developing your psychic giftings in a really safe way through like plants and animals, working with angels, connecting with your higher self, what your responsibilities are as a psychic baby. You know, it's not just like I'm just a beginner, I don't have any responsibility. You do have responsibilities, but like it's scaled because obviously you're a beginner. And how to tell the difference between being hopeful and something that's going to happen. How can you tell the difference between intuition and intrusive thoughts? So, like intuition being like your intuition from your higher self, and intrusive thoughts would be like picking up on other people's energy or something like that, or even from neurodivergence. The next one is divination, baby. This is an introduction to divination, part of which is psychic, because divination or divining really also is an intro to psychic things as well. So we go through like working with pendulums, body pendulums, working with your ancestors, specifically your healed ancestors, and never your unhealed ancestors. You're working with your healed ancestors will help your unhealed ancestors. Working with angels, spirit guides, reading oracle cards, working with your divination skills, taking care of ritual objects, being trauma aware, working with your intuition, really developing your intuition through divination. We have Healing Baby. Healing Baby, people that take this course are often psychics because they can feel other people's pain and they want to do something about it. It's really an introduction to healing, connection with higher self, hands-on healing, working with others, protection, working with your intuition. And then we have the DIY Witch Kit, where you learn 6 different skills. So the first one is learning how to keep entities out of your house, learning how to protect your house, um, protection rituals, and then also how to take care of ritual objects, working with elements, candle magic, wand magic, manifestation, how to make Florida water, how to use Florida water, really magical practices kind of build up your psychic giftings and they resource you. So like that's sort of like what I consider the intro. And then where you are right now is really the section of where to go from here. And the first thing I say is tea ceremony, embrace your moving meditation that's neurodivergent friendly and just a delicious experience. And then we have Reiki 1, 2, and 3, learning how to be sensitive to energies and healing. Reiki is really well known, so I don't have to explain that so much. Runes, how to make your own rune casting cloth and stones, working with the 24 archetypes, the meanings behind the casting cloth, and your various circles of influence. Next, we get into Speed Tarot, which is an introduction to the 22 archetypes of the major arcana, both upright and reverse positions, so 44 archetypes total. Then it's time to kind of get into the deep end. We have Tarot 1 to 4, which is a course series going through uh yeah, how to read tarot, upright and reversed, how to read a natal chart, astrology, and then how to apply astrology to the 78 archetypes of tarot. So by the time you finish this course, you're just basically a superstar. And then Tarot and Astro 5 is a one-off course going over how to read for people, your bedside manner, ongoing consent, trauma awareness, tips and tricks for reading charts and spreads, different spreads you can use, uh, and like, both in astrology and in tarot. We have ceremonial magic where you go deeper, so it's more of a ritual. So if you really like the tea ceremonies, ceremonial magic is more ritual. Same with the DIY Witch Kit, honestly. And Tarot and Astro 1 to 4, reading tarot and astrology is a ritual as well. But yeah, ceremonial magic, you're working with the energies of tarot and astrology in ritual. So you're going deeper into that. And then we have Advanced Psychic Development 1, 2, 3, and 4. So Advanced Psychic Development 1 is learning how to open and close your sight. So how to turn your sight on and off, and how to close your other chakras as well. And learning how to read someone else's field with trauma awareness, consent, accuracy, consistency. Also learning how to separate between you and the world, so you're not just getting lost in the energies around you and in other people's energies. And then you have Psychic Development, Advanced Psychic Development 2, where you're learning how to read for groups, couples, polypartners, friends, businesses. You can also learn how to read people's relationship through people. Like I'm talking to Adam, but I'm reading his mom or I'm reading his partner. And then we have Advanced Psychic Development 3, talking to animals, talking to dead animals. And then learning that sort of tiptoes you into healthy mediumship, like talking to spirits, while also keeping those spirits out of your body. So you learn how to talk to them without getting possessed. We are talking about protection and ethics on how to work with spirits, because spirits have rights too. Basically, they have ways that they like to be treated. And it's always better to be in good relationship with everything. And I'll probably also talk about how to pass cross spirits over, because if we're talking about working with spirits, I'll probably talk about crossing spirits over too. I should make a note about that. Because sometimes when you're doing mediumship, they're just like, I'm lost. And you're like, yeah, we can cross you over. And then we have Advanced Psychic Development 4, which is like you learning how to use a crystal ball, you learning skyring, so skyring, you can use like an obsidian globe, you can use a pan of water in the dark, you can use black mirror, they all work. You can use, I'm also going to learn psychometry, which is learning to read the energy off objects. And then we're going to talk about ethics on this kind of divination, and then psychic approaches and techniques. And those are the classes that I have available right now that I'm working on. I'm recording them right now. They should be all up on the website soon, so that's exciting. And basically, the reason I have so many resources is that one, I noticed that I couldn't find any resources. Like you can YouTube stuff, but like if I wanted to work with a teacher and be guided through, like from being learning intro to ritual work all the way to like advanced psychic development, I really couldn't find anyone that was doing that work. Unless, I mean, sometimes you just find people that are willing to work one-on-one, but it's quite expensive. So I wanted to make it accessible, make it manageable, put it out there. I also every time I got a tarot reading or had someone read my field and a psychic reading, they'd always be like, Heidi, looks like you're gonna make a Heidi University where you explain everything that you know and put it into courses. And 3 years ago when the economy basically tanked, and so like people had less money for a tarot reading, so I had more time. And so I just was like, I'm gonna start making my courses. And I thought I'd just make a few courses. I made Tarot and Astro 1 to 4, got that, and I thought that was good. I also did a course on shamanism, which I didn't talk about in the resources because you're not going to find that on the website. It's a 200-hour course. It's way more than 200 hours at this point, probably like 250. But you can't just buy it. If you want to do that course, it is a deep dive into shamanism. You get rituals and rites and ceremonies and teachings. It's really quite intense. But you'd have to book a 25-minute discovery call with me because that's something I really need to screen people for. Uh, the other classes, as much as I'm like, oh, I want to screen everybody for every class, like, you know, I've put it in the student expectations that like how to tell if you're in over your head. So people are resourced, but the shamanism class is like, it's so long. It's like way over 200 hours, probably 250 hours or something. And the other courses are like 15 hours, max. So it didn't feel like it was on the same level. So yeah, if you're interested in shamanism, you can get a hold of me too. Although if you're taking, you just really want to think about like what stood out to you as far as like when I was talking about these courses, which one was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of interested, or oh, that would be a good one to do one day. Like just think about what stands out for you. You don't have to take your next course now. You don't have to take your course ever. You don't ever have to do another course unless you want to, but I did want to go over them and let you know what your options are. And if you are curious about just talking to me about like which one should I take next or making a roadmap, like you have a lifetime access to this course, you get lifetime access to all my courses, so you can like there's no rush, there's no rush. But a lot of people kind of like to talk about, where do you want to go from here? So, like, if that's you, email Tarot Time Society at Gmail. Tea ceremony is the course, and the video is resources, and we can just talk about like which courses you might want to take, and you can tell me, listen, this is where I'm at. Like, maybe you're like, I'm kind of interested in Psychic Baby, but maybe I already know that stuff, and you can just tell me what you know already, and I can tell you if the course is a good fit or where you should start. Like, we can kind of assess you basically. Or you can just use the booking links if I've sent them to you already. So that's that. I hope you feel supported. That is the goal with this particular video is like that you feel supported in your long-term journey and that you yeah, feel resourced and taken care of. This isn't like a pressure sales thing. Like if it doesn't feel right to you and I'm not the right teacher for you, don't even worry about it. Um, Also, if you're like, you're not the perfect teacher for me, you're not a total fit for me, but I don't know anyone else teaching this content. I don't know anyone else teaching this kind of stuff. Yeah, I totally get that. My first shamanism teacher was definitely like that for me. Like he was affordable, he came to your house, he was learn as you go, he was self-paced. And it was just accessible. He wasn't the perfect teacher for me. It didn't always feel like a good fit, both for him and for me. Like I wasn't his perfect student and he wasn't my perfect teacher. But I felt called to learn that information and he was my first teacher. And like it's sometimes like I don't care if I'm not your perfect teacher, but if you want to learn any of the stuff that I am offering and you're like, Heidi's not the perfect fit, but it's good enough and I want to learn, like awesome. Like that's great. The only thing I would say is if I'm not your perfect teacher, you might need to use more of the Q&A tutoring calls just because the way I explain things might not work for you, and I'm fine to do that extra legwork. Like that's totally fair. I understand it, and I'm not offended if I'm not your perfect teacher. Life isn't always perfect, we don't always find our perfect fit. If I am your perfect fit, amazing, love it, live for it, that's great. But I'm also pretty realistic about teaching and all of that stuff. So like, yeah, don't worry. You don't have to be like a Heidi worshiper. You can just be like, I just want to learn this information and you're cheap and affordable and I can do this. Like, perfect. That works for me too. No worries. You don't have to be hanging on to everything that I say. Anyway, with all that being said, I hope you do feel resourced and that you have a beautiful day. All right, take care. Bye.